I shape and form my napkin and try to lift up some paint to make the cloud. And it's so interesting because nice cloud you can make it, but please not rub it, just pressure on the paper and lift up. The napkin can absorb lots of your water and paint. If you rub it, you can damage the paper. And I make some browny purpley color first. So I apply with reddish brown to separate here, or even dark brown you have would be fine too, doesn't matter. Just make it separate, bring it into the palette, make it ready. And then if you have a purple, we can go with purple. If not, we can make the purple by blue and alizarin crimson or permanent rose. Give us nice purple like this, and any blue like cobalt or cerulean. This is the purple. They're so close to each other. And even the blue color, even we can use this light blue as well. Mix it with cobalt to make it lighter. These are the colors that we can use for mountain. So clean your brush a little bit. I take my purple first. Prefer not to go with wet surface. I prefer to start with draw surface. So I apply whole my brush on top to cover this part. On top is a little lighter, so I go with nice and gently brush stroke by purple. I don't need to come exactly on the bottom part, and here is because here is a little bit greeny. You can bring very light and smooth, or even you can lift up some paint by napkin. That's fine. But on top, we need a little bit darker tone, so we apply again purple and brown with very less water because we would like to have darker tone a little bit. And I separate that from here. Hard edges we need, so you can separate it from here too. It's not dry brush, just a little bit darker tone we need to apply, just a bit on top. We will bring dry brush after everything gets completely dry. So just some movement with dark tone I bring with brown and purple. Then leave it like that, would be enough. This is the darker mountain in front. The rest should be lighter. So I clean my brush again. Very gently I draw and I paint the rest on the back. Here I switch to this part. I will go by brown, very gently. I just cover the surface. It's okay to be light. You can add hard edges by lifting, by actually left some paper as a white. Don't add any paint on top, and then switch to the purple. Bring purple on top of brown color. But make sure the colors shouldn't darker than the first mountain. If it's really dark, that's fine. We can add some darker stroke on top of the first one to help it come forward. We would like to keep the others on backward. Because of that, it should be lighter. And even these two should be really lighter than these two. So I mix my blue a little with the purple, make it light by amount of water. And then I don't cover all the part. I just go with one side, keep some part as the white of the paper. As I mentioned, we need hard edges to keep. And then here you can keep some part as a hard edge. And distance as well. Tiny part, I leave it white, like that. And then let it dry. Fine now. But it still has water inside the brush. Paper is wet, dry. I try to help my brush reduce the water and paint. Now it's fine. Take your brush like that. You can see what happened. It's not completely dry, it's still a little bit wet, but it gives me nice texture. So I can move my brush in the mountain and you can hear the sound that it makes. Again, back to the paint. Reduce the amount of water. You can move on with brush anywhere that you feel more comfortable. Turn your brush. But we need for this texture to use whole the belly of brush, hold the hair that you see on your brush. Because of that, I take my brush like this. So for the bushes that it's here and the stance is a little bit bluey color because anytime you would like to show everything on further of you, it's better to use lighter color, bluey color. It shows that it's on the stance. Doesn't matter which green you use because we already used the blue is the base. I can go with this green color. It's what's the name? It's a Viridian. Viridian is a little bit turquoise color or bluey green, something like that. I think it's good to go with this one. And if it's really dark, we can add some water into that and make it lighter. And then like that, you can apply, bring it up and down and make these bushes. Not all in the same level. It's better to be showing that it's up and down and then more interesting. Even you can fade the edges, clean your brush completely, make it wet, then move on top and let it disappear. You can fade the edges if you like. If not, if you would like to be visible, again, you can add some tone, make it be visible. And then for this part, we use like a darker tone or warmer tone a little bit. So I go with this green and I go with the cobalt blue to make some nice warmer color, but still it's light. It's not really dark. Even yellow ochre. And for first layer, I will go exactly like that to cover this space, to show that it's covered by bushes, but I know that separately, one by one, the trees will come in front. And I make one level darker than this color. So I can go with ultramarine blue. Even you can mix with this green, doesn't matter. Ultramarine blue. And I make the cool color. I prefer to have warmer tones, so I need a little bit brown. Or any green you feel happy with, but one level darker would be better. And then draw one line as a a trunk of tree, and then very gently and nice, add some stroke on both sides and make a tree a little bit like this shape. It should be like the triangle. On top it's smaller, and when we move down, it's get a little bit bigger. And please keep some empty space between them to show the green color that you had before. And it's nice to make some long and short. Add some shape like that. And I go a little bit shorter for this one. You can play with the shape of your leaves like that to bring it like down, not straight. Again, a little bit longer. So for the month, I think it's really light and separate from the darker part. Again, back to purple and brown, but not really dark, and a little bit blue. Not much dark. I add some water in my brush. Something in between these two. I would like to have one stroke here to make it a little bit darker. Yeah, one stroke would be enough here. And again, a little bit more bluey color here. Reduce the darkness with the amount of water, and then one stroke would be nice to bring here too. One level darker, just a bit. Yeah. I add light blue or cerulean. For distance, a little bit turquoise color would be nice to make, and I add a little bit green into that to make it similar this color. Oops, what's this? And then if you want to have a little darker tone, we already can make the blue and brown, adding some shadow for this one. And in front, we can use same color, more bluey, and adding some brown into that to make the shadows or the reflection. And for the dark part of the tree, I use the green color, and I add a little bit brown to make it warmer. So for the reflection and shadow of the trees in front. Yep, that's better. These three colors. This is the turquoise one, bluey, greeny turquoise for distance, and this is the blue in front, and then this is for the reflection. For some reason, I can add a little brown for the reflection too. I start with turquoise blue color. I don't add any water in my paper for now. I can apply to cover whole my paper with watery brush, or sometimes we say thirsty brush, with a light tone. And then if you want to have darker tone, we need very less water, more pigment to add. For here, the reflection of here. Reflection can be from top to bottom. And for that part, I use this green color a little bit more, or even blue on top. very tiny, you can bring it down like that. Like a vertical line, like this. And then let it dry. This is good for the stance. Clean your brush. And because it's a dry paper, so I add more water on my brush to have a smooth surface. So I cover all around the rock with a watery brush or thirsty brush. I use whole the brush because it's better to use whole the brush for the bigger part, and we just use tip of the brush for the details. So I cover around the rock with the blue color. Even if you move on to the rock with the blue, that's fine, because we need the blue color for the rock as well. In front, a little bit lighter, and the stance, and here we need to add a little greeny color and browny color for the shadow and reflection. So I go for here, make some darkness. First of all, to show this, the grass, that the reflection is here, and then we can add a little bit more. I can imagine here should be the place of the trees, the longer one. I move down like that. Even I can go for this reflection of this rock and this rock and this rock under with just the pure brown as well, like this. Or we can imagine this tree, the other trees should be placed here. I think it's fine. And then with the flat brush, lift up some paint, clean it again. Lift up some paint, clean, to show that this is the wave on top of the water. With this technique, we can make the light wave on top, but after it gets dry, we can go with the narrow line and make the dark wave. Dark line actually for the wave. I'm now adding some line here. Clean it with my hand. Yellow ochre or raw sienna if you have, both are okay. And we will make first of all the light green color. Any green you have would be fine. You can take some green, but it should be light and warm. Because of that, I use raw sienna or yellow ochre to make it warm and lighter, like that. This is okay to start. Just stroke, bring it here. You can keep some part a little bit lighter on top. Cover it. And then we have reddish brown, which is burnt sienna. Mix with it. It's moved towards red color a little bit. Bring it here. The bottom part, I mean, not the top part, the bottom part. Add some reddish brown here to cover it. And then mix reddish brown with a little bit ultramarine blue just the green, reddish brown, ultramarine blue to make darker tone. And then add one stroke here. Like that. I know with this difference, I need a little bit add dark tone on the water. I will do it later. Anytime we can add another tone on top. But for this one, it's enough. For here, for the grass. So first I go with light green color. And then I add some reddish brown somewhere. And with this dark tone that I make with reddish brown and the ultramarine blue and the green, I bring it here. I make it more tone on that. This is the dark color, and even any green color you have, just a bit, add and make this dark color, something similar to that one. So I will go with this. I already have, I'm not sure if we need the light green. I don't think so, but we already have this green with the reddish brown. It's so much lighter. It's green with reddish brown. We can use this and this, but I will go with the darker tone. And I am going with small brush. First, I draw the line as a trunk of tree. It should be, first of all, it's really long for here. You can use just the one line, or you can use the broken line, would be fine. I go with this, bring it down, and I start again from the top. It's similar the shape of the tree that I make smaller. I will shape each leaf and I keep some space empty in between to see the mountain and to see the sky. You can move your leaves on the top part or on the bottom part. You can find one of them, it's more nice for you, and then do the same for all of them. So I will go like that. I use tip of brush to separate, and I can go with this warmer tone as well. Yeah, it's nice to have this warm tone. Make it a little bit darker and heavier. When you move down, it's good to go a little bit bigger and bigger. And then the same way, you can add 1 or 2 trees beside that. I can start to adding one. I think the other one is better to add here between these two, on the stands between these two. That's nice. I will keep it here. I start with the light, darker tone and small, shorter leaves. Then move one in front. So I go with reddish brown first. It's more interesting to have that. Just one stroke and watery stroke, I will finish all the rock with that. It's so light. And I go with this one too. It's really watery, so I can finish 3 of them. If yours is not really, but your brush is not water based, you can one by one do that. And then switch to the darker brown and the blue. Blue, I mean ultramarine blue, to keep the stroke darker. And it's really the not water based, it's dry, but the surface of the rock is really wet. So I can add dark tone on the bottom part, even separate from the water a little bit. I have napkin on my hand and then control it. I can bring it a little bit on top to make some movement like that. And the rest I will keep it for dry brush. Even I can add some here. I add the dark tone on the bottom of the rock. And for this one too. And bring a little bit on top. Then we need to keep the rock completely dry for some dry brush. But here on the grass is dry. And we need the green and the reddish brown. So we already have reddish brown here. We need just a tiny bit green to add. Then make the brush dry. So I need to use napkin for that to reduce the amount of water like this. Sometimes it takes more time. And then apply on here. It's still wet. Yeah, that's gonna be better. Then some movement on the bottom part. It's interesting to make some shape or texture. Not much, just some is enough. Because we need blue, green, brown, so everything is ready. Just a bit more watery. And you see it's a little darker. I add some water into that. Even I can reduce the water amount from my brush. And I keep some space white in between. Then continue to add one stroke like that. Like this, not much, just like that, very light. I will add heavy paint. I'm sorry, not heavy paint. It's completely dry, watery. Not like the first layer. The water base similar the second layer. Not much, but a little bit darker. Yep, that's better. Just a tiny bit. But if you do very dark, you don't have to do. Again, mine was really light, so I prefer to add one layer darker right now. And even I can continue the brownie color here too for this reflection a little bit. I would like to reduce the amount of water. Sorry. And then move on here. I keep just one line in between the grass and the water and like white. It's not white, it's the blue color of the water. And then continue with this. Please not go on back a lot because you can lift up some paint from your paper. So, and just the texture we can make on top of the rock. Just a tiny bit, not much. But because it's a small part, and I will go with smaller brush. So I take my brown color. I can use the same color. It's a dark color. I can use dark brown as well with blue. They're all in the same family. Even if a little bit green inside the paint, it would be nice. So this is the dark brown color. I reduce the amount of water from my brush. Lift up some paint and water on my brush by napkin, and then try to make some texture on the rock, because rock is should be just heavy and not really soft surface. So we make some dry brush on top to make it more interesting. make this turquoise color just a tiny bit brown to make it warmer. That's one level darker, so I can bring it here with whole brush. Yeah, just a bit, not much. Yeah, that's fine. To make it a little bit movement there, and I can say we finished.